The directors of Mansfield and Ashfield Broadcasting Limited would like to completely distance themselves from any of the possible offensive material likely to be spouted by Martin Kelner and guests during the next 2 hours. For the avoidance of any doubt, you listen entirely at your own risk.
Long-distance lawyers and members of worldwide pressure groups can listen online at mansfield103.co.uk. All complaints should be addressed to Auntie Flo, 22 Fletcher Road, the Cayman Islands.
Young ears should not be listening to this programme.
It's Martin Kelner. What could be more agreeable?
Jingle time, here on Kelner's show. Mansfield's never known such bobbins on the radio. This jingle fills time so Martin doesn't have to speak. He's so lazy that he only does 2 hours a week.
Those are the Rolling Stones and Start Me Up. Very good evening to you. It's Saturday night, last Saturday before Christmas. It's Martin Kelner here on Mansfield 103.2, the home of great music. And it's a delight to be with you once more on this last Saturday before Christmas. Going to play some sort of slightly off-the-wall Christmas stuff. These are the Bare Naked Ladies.
The streets are filled with Christmas cheer.
They are from Scarborough, Ontario in Canada. That's the Bare Naked Ladies and Green Christmas. It's Martin Kelner here on Mansfield 103.2. A delight to be with you. And what a heck of a lot's happened since I was here last time. Most of it involving Tiger Woods. He's under a hell of a lot of stress at the moment. And you can understand that with all the publicity and everything. His doc has said to him, look, try and relax. Play a bit of golf. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Also, Father Christmas has been criticised. Santa Claus, apparently, this is according to an Australian doc. Father Christmas sets a bad example to children by being obese, for a start, speeding and drunk driving. Other things that we could charge, little charges we could level against Father Christmas, breaking and entering, we're done for that, transporting livestock, subject to the Livestock Disease Control Act, smuggling, flying in restricted airspace, and I don't believe he's got CRB accreditation prior to contact with minors, and also elf trafficking. So there's a fair bit we can do for Adolf Hitler, meanwhile. Moving on to a different tack altogether. Adolf Hitler was terrified of going to the dentist, I discovered, which was something that surprised me. Terrified of going to the dentist. He was so nervous, he ordered root canal work to be done over 8 days because he just couldn't stand the pain. He couldn't stay. They had to stretch it out. There's a new book. Hitler's dentist has written a book. Brilliant. Johannes Blaschke. I mean, somebody basically, the dentist is dead now, but they found his book and they published it. He used to look after all the Führer's oral needs. But because of Hitler's dread of the dentist chair, he had chronically bad breath, abscesses and gum disease, which, together with all that Nazi stuff, made him the classic bad date, actually. Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the award for the Best Supporting Actor in a West End Musical. And the nominations are Tony Slattery for his role as Fred Dinage in How? The Desperate Years. And the winner is Tony Slattery.
Your Royal Highness, my lords, ladies, and gentlemen, platitude, cliché, platitude, banter, cliché, platitude, banter, cliché, 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 weak quip, cliché, cliché, coy, self-deprecation, mutter, mutter, mutter. Well-rehearsed demeanour of complete astonishment. And vulnerability, followed by carefully timed stutter to indicate sincerity and debilitating emotion. I'm sorry. Serious facial expression suddenly. Name drop, cliché, name drop, hugely unconvincing rubbish about sharing this award. Cliché, rhetorical question about the subsidised theatre, pretend to get really quite angry, and wait for Pavlovian applause, largely from people who couldn't give a toss. Shout, declaim, end of serious bit. Lighten up a bit again now. Anecdote, in joke, gossip, throwaway joke about the RSC revealing hidden depths of professional bitterness and envy. Cliché, recognized self-important casting director in the audience. Focus, beam, ghastly, ingratiating gesture. End in sight now, but mistakenly embark on stupefyingly complex and profoundly dull metaphor about encouraging new talent, meander, losing it, rambling really quite badly now, sweat, ramble, sweat, shouldn't have done a gram and a half. Rush, stumble, panic, get to final pathetic joke and cock up the punch bag, the punch bowl, the punchline!
Well, you don't hear much of him these days, do you? That's Tony Slattery. He used to be on everything years ago. I thought at least he might be in Aladdin at the theatre in Mansfield, but he's not. He's doing Panto somewhere, I suspect, along with Frank Bruno. But there he was, Tony Slattery. We thought rather appropriate to slip that in after the Comedy Awards last week. It's Martin Kelner here, Mansfield 103.2. We're just asking about. And very shortly on the show, we'll talk to Paul Rising from Hampstead NW3. He'll be chattering about what the chattering classes are chattering about. We have A.A. Grundy's year. Yes, A.A. Grundy, the angriest journalist in Britain. We'll find out what's been annoying him. And we'll also have Dora Dale live from a rest home somewhere or other, so stay with us.
The fabulous Late Martin Kelner Show may contain adult material and language that some listeners could find offensive.
Martin Kelner on Mansfield 103.2.
Well, I'll tell you what the problem is this time of the year. It's very difficult to focus your eyes. That was very much supposed to be The Cure and The Love Cat. I mean, it was nice enough, the Flying Lizards there in their version of Berry Gordy's Money. It should have been the Love Cats by The Cure, which is track 10 on this fantastic compilation CD I have here. That was track 11, but you try and distinguish between 10 and 11 at this time of the year. You can't do it. Now, somebody who's never, ever allows the festive season to interfere with his general sort of anger and grumpiness is my favourite newspaper columnist, A.A. Grundy of the Worksop Guardian. Now, I've not been able to get the paper the last few days, so I've been getting his stuff off the net, because he makes sure that you know how angry he is, even if you don't want to lay out 78p on the paper or whatever it is. He wants you to know how angry he is, so he puts it on the net. He's fed up about all the charity shops in Worksop. He says another charity shop opens up inside Worksop's showpiece shopping centre, the Priory. And once again, we're all left wondering, what's the future for our town centre? We live in an age of the internet where with a click of a button you can have clothes, food, toys, DVDs, computers. I'm sure he never buys any of this stuff. Hi-Fi's everything, he says. You sit in your spare room with a mug of coffee and go on a wonderful spending spree, and all you're wearing is your underpants. That might be just you, A.A. Grundy, sitting there in your underpants, which creates a horrible vision, actually. He says you can't get away with that. This is shopping in your underpants. You can't get away with that in Bridge Street. Not yet, he says. So why would anybody want to get the car out, battle through endless traffic jams, fight their way through badly planned town centre roads, try and find a space in an already full car park, pay £2 an hour for the privilege when a space finally turns up, and then trudge around a dismal mix of pound shops and boarded up doorways? He's a fantastic advert for Worksop, this guy, at the mercy of the elements. Not me, he says. I'll take underpants browsing every time. Now that sounds like a term from the Viz Profanosaurus, doesn't it? Underpant browsing. He says town centres like Worksop are slowly dying on their backsides. The real shoppers, and this is where he likes to have a go at the populace of Worksop every now and then. He says the real shoppers, brackets, as opposed to chav broods on pasty and shoplifting trips, are abandoning ship. They're very, very popular, those pasty and shoplifting trips, apparently this time of the year in Worksop. So, and we've got more A.A. Grundy for you later on. However, I'll tell you what I wanted to do. I wanted to play you something cheesy from for the Christmas season. And this is one you don't hear much these days, and this is why you don't. It's Adam Faith and A Lonely Pup in a Christmas Shop.
Christmas shop.
Isn't that sweet? That's Adam Faith and A Lonely Pup in a Christmas Shop. The thing I like about Adam Faith is he went the way I'd like to go. I think he was sort of in his mid-60s or so, and he was in a hotel room with some woman who wasn't his wife, and was, that's the way to go. And his famous last words, and you look them up on the internet, the famous last words of Adam Faith was something on the lines of, "It's all shit on Channel 5. He actually said that just before he died. He was moaning about the quality of the shows on Channel 5, which shows a tremendous dedication. Well done, Adam Faith. It's Martin Kelner here on Mansfield 103.2. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be with you this festive time of the year. And here's one we used to play on Jazz FM years and years ago. We used to pretend it was jazz, but it's not really, it's soul. It's Patty Austin. Nice. Patty Austin and If We're Not in Love on Mansfield 103.2, the home of great music. Just a bit of thing about school discipline, which I read here. A teacher has been ordered to take a 5-day behaviour management course after telling a persistently disruptive pupil who had her arm in a sling, right? So there's a pupil there with her arm in a sling that if the misbehaviour continued, she'd break the other arm. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that is the natural thing that she didn't mean it. Grace Astley, she's called. She was teaching at something called Sacred Heart Primary School, Blackburn. She said the child was talking all the time, and I just said it to attract her attention. It wasn't meant to carry any weight. And you can understand my sympathies here entirely with the teacher. I think the parents complain, terrible thing to say, and it upset her and all that sort of thing. But if you see somebody in front of you, in class, with a broken arm, and they're misbehaving, what are you going to say? Look, shut up or I'll break the other arm. You're bound to say that. You've got to say that. And now she's gone on a behaviour management course. Sadly, they never send the kids on behaviour management courses, but there you go. Sounding more and more like A.A. Grundy by the second. I've got more fantastic stuff for you. Paul Rising coming up from NW3 to chatter about the chattering classes are chattering about. Dora Dale, loads more. Stay with us.
It's Martin Kelner on a Saturday night.
Jingle time, here on Kelner's show. Mansfield's never known such bobbins on the radio. This jingle fills time so Martin doesn't have to speak. He's so lazy that he only does 2 hours a week.
Excellent. Those are the Eagles on Mansfield 103.2. A sort of laid-back mood tonight. That's New Kid in Town by the Eagles there. It's Martin Kelner here on Mansfield 103.2. So now the Ministry of Defence has closed its UFO investigation unit. They've fed up with thousands of reports. Over the years, they've catalogued thousands and thousands of reports of UFO sightings. Some of these people have been probed in the bottom. Some of the people not been probed in the bottom. A lot of extraterrestrials, they don't like to do that on the first date. But no one, despite all that, has revealed any evidence, this is over 50 years, of any evidence whatsoever of the existence of extraterrestrials. So the government now says, that's it, we're closing down the UFO investigation unit, and we're going to leave that, we're going to hand the whole thing over to the late night phone-ins. They can deal with it, leave it to them.
Nice to play, but his eyebrows ought to be white.
Yeah, there are a lot of Santa Clauses around at the moment, and I'm not sure how many of them have CRB checks, but there you are, that's Bob Rivers, and there's another Santa Claus. You're listening to Mansfield 103.2. It's Martin Kelner with you through until midnight.
Hello, Nottinghamshire. It's my dad.
Martin Kelner on Mansfield 103.2.
Quite unquestionably, it's the greatest radio show. If someone chooses something else, you must hit them and shout no. It's got the greatest music and comedy you could buy. It's only on in Mansfield and the vicinity, and since they don't pay their presenter, it's entirely free. Sometimes I think I will die when I tune into that guy. I've got an ambulance on standby. I will shout it from the rooftops until I am quite hoarse, because the subject of my song is Martin Kelner, of course. Thanks to the boss who didn't for once turn round and say no, say no, say no, say no. It's 2 hours of your life that you will never get back, but Christ, enjoy it whilst he's on, because he'll soon get the sack, and you'll be sorry you missed a chance to be part of this, the fabulous late Martin Kelner show.
Hello again. Those are the Specials and Ghost Town. It's Martin Kelner here on Mansfield 103.2. So what I miss about the British media is, and that is that we don't have TV evangelists. Characters like Oral Roberts. What a brilliant name. I read his obit in the Telegraph this week. Oral Roberts. I mean, what parents see the little baby there? What should we call him? Let's call him Oral. That'll give his friends a bit of a laugh. Anyway, this guy's called Oral Roberts, and he started. There's a picture on in the paper with Elvis. So because Elvis was into all that evangelism bit, you know, he got heavily into cheeseburgers later, but at one stage he did like these televangelists. This guy, he first of all, he used to have these tents, and he would lay his divinely anointed right hand on the afflicted and claim to achieve instant cures. There is a joke, the punchline of which is, lady, I can heal the sick, I can't raise the dead. But I can't be bothered telling you the whole joke. Anyway, after that, he started off in tents, sort of going around the deep south of America, and then later on he moved onto the radio and TV. He routinely attempted to heal his followers of a wide range of diseases, from cancer to hemorrhoids. Exactly where he lay his hands when he was curing hemorrhoids, I don't know, I don't want to know, to be honest. But somebody washed him afterwards. But he appeared on the telly doing this, and he used to ask the afflicted, whatever they had, whether it's hemorrhoids or whatever, he asked the afflicted to touch their television screens. The miracle cures thus effected were often accompanied by requests for, you know, he would cure people. Then he'd say he wanted seed faith donations. $20, Visa, Amex, whatever the Lord leads you to do. You know, the Lord often leads you to get out your Visa card, doesn't it, and put the numbers in. By the early 1980s, the Oral Roberts Evangelistic Association employed 2,300 people. Unbelievable. And it was grossing £110 million a year in these seed faith donations. He built a sort of divine Disney world. It had the world's largest bronze sculpture, a 60-foot pair of hands. Lordy, lordy. Class with well, that's what they were. They were sort of lordy, lordy hands. They had 60-foot bronze, a 200-foot glass and steel prayer tower topped by an eternal gas flame, and a 777-foot artificial stream called the River of Life. He also opened the Oral Roberts University in 1965. Unbelievable bloke. He lived till he was 91 as well. The Oral Roberts University opened in 1965. Students were exhorted to dress and behave in an attractive way. Women were encouraged to wear makeup and fashionable clothes. This is at university. Well, that's never going to catch on, is it? The chronically fat risked expulsion, which I thought in the deep south of America, you're cutting down your constituency there a bit. Anyway, he lost all his money. He, like most of these people do, he just overreached himself. But then he got it back. In a dramatic announcement in July 1984, Roberts reported that Jesus had once again visited him, and an angel of the Lord had been placed at his disposal. The angel was dispatched to bring the poor, needy and sick to his city of faith. Anyway, he got all this money. He told his followers he'd been having an ongoing conversation with God, who had threatened to call him home. This is years ago. This is in the 80s, and he's only just died now. Unless his faithful punters stumped up $8 million by March the 31st for his medical missionary program. Sad to say, he wasn't treated with the reverence that he deserved in all quarters. Las Vegas bookmakers gave odds about whether or not he'd make the money that he wanted. And an outfit called Lord, which stands for Let Oral Roberts Die, attracted many followers. A Tulsa disc jockey announced he'd seen a 600-foot vision of Lassie, which which told him, if you don't send me money, you will die. Of course, in British radio, I believe it's illegal to appeal for money on the air. I believe it's illegal to do that, but just if each and every one of you could just find it in your heart, just lay your hands on the radio now while I'm speaking. If you've got hemorrhoids, lay your backside, you know, and together we can beat this thing. This is Fleetwood Mac on Mansfield 103.2. Just the job. That's Fleetwood Mac and Rhiannon. It's Martin Kelner here on Mansfield 103.2. Still to come, Paul Rising, who'll be chattering about what the chattering classes are chattering about. He'll join us from Hampstead NW3. Young offender Anthony Farrell and more of the anger of A.A. Grundy. All that's still to come.
Martin Kelner on Mansfield's 103.2.
It's my dad's fantastic show.
It's another sing-along piss poor jingle with Martin Kelner on Mansfield 103.2.
Yeah. Now, I did promise earlier on that Dora Dale would be with us. I have actually rung the rest home that she's in, and unfortunately, she's had her medication, and it just would be. I mean, they could wake her up and put her on, but it'd be dangerous, to be honest. And we really do not want to take too many risks, especially this time of the year. So she won't be joining us, but young offender Anthony Farrell will. A.A. Grundy, meanwhile, this is the headline on one of his the Daily Grundy, which you mustn't miss. It's on the net there, from the Worksop Guardian. If you go down in the woods today, don't let Rover off his leash, he says. Dogs have been dying in the I don't believe half this stuff. Dogs have been dying in the woods out Blidworth Way in Hayward Oaks, which, as you can imagine, is somewhat upsetting for the owners. And not much fun for the dogs either. But what's causing it? It's all the talk of the footpaths around here. Worried owners daren't let their pooches off their leads in case they never come back. Is it toxic waste dumped in the woods? See, no conspiracy theory is too wild for A.A. Grundy. Poisonous algae growing as a result of freaky weather. Some sick moron deliberately poisoning pools and ponds in the woods, presumably in between eating Cornish pasties and shoplifting. Or perhaps the animals, now I'm going to put this in quotes, perhaps the animals have blundered into Fanny's Grove. See above. Fanny's Grove, you'll remember, was, if you were listening back, 2 months ago, it's the place where there's a certain amount of alfresco horizontal jogging activity going on there, which A.A. Grundy's got annoyed about. Perhaps the animals, it does sound like from the Viz book, doesn't it? They blundered into Fanny's Grove. Oh, yes, you went out for a few drinks, but yeah, blundered into Fanny's Grove. It must be tough being a pooch lover around these parts, he says. Where do you take your animal? He says. Where do you take your slobbering old softy, which is his way of saying the animal, for his exercise in an area where the woods are lethal and all the rest of the open spaces have been sold off by the council to Tesco and Bovis Homes. Beats me, he says. Let's go to some muscular journalism for local papers. More fine stuff to come here on Mansfield 103.2. Stay with us. That's Bobby Womack, as featured in the that Tarantino film, Jackie Brown. That's Across 100 Wheels, a film in its own right, actually, initially. Yeah, that's right. In its own right, initially.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Across 110th Street. Yeah, 110th Street. It's getting a trick on the street, eh? It's Martin Kelner here.
What should we call the next street?
Yep.
I don't know. 111th?
111th would be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Right.
It's Martin Kelner here. On Mansfield 103.2. I'm delighted to say, joining me on the line, young offender Anthony Farrell.
Yeah.
You don't mind me saying that, Anthony, do you? Because you've been... No. And...
that's the nice thing about our relationship, is that we're, like, completely honest with each other.
Completely honest and open with each other.
If I say to you...
Yeah.
Completely honesty,
yeah.
When I get out, I come and see you.
Yeah.
You know that's true.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
As
a matter of fact, I'm out. It's like a little Christmas miracle.
You're out?
Just for a day.
Oh, like, what this is? They're trying to sort of accustom you to.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I'm on station.
I can hear you. Yes. What are you doing at the moment?
Well, I'm just tipping off.
You're what? Tripping?
I'm just tipping off up to, like, Mansfield. There's a bloke. He can remove an ankle tag for 20 quid, so... Right. I think I've got to get there quite soon, so...
So they're trying to get you used to life outside?
Yeah.
Is that what they're trying to do?
It's on account of my good behaviour, Marshall.
So it's good behaviour. You behaved well, haven't you, really?
I was cooperative.
You've been cooperative. Well, that's good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, and...
I helped them out, yeah.
So you helped them out?
Yeah, I helped them out with a trial.
Right. So you...
I don't know if you read about this in the papers.
No, I've not seen that myself.
Well, because I read it in the paper.
Yeah?
It's a paper I just borrowed off a man. The book was... Yeah, he wasn't reading it.
No. You sure he wasn't reading it? You didn't...
No, it was just some homeless guy. He just draped it over himself one night.
Right, and...
He wasn't reading it.
No.
So I took it.
Okay.
And, did you read this, the papers, that there's some guy what's, like, doing, hypnotherapist?
Hypnotherapy?
For the police, yeah.
For the police?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've read about that.
It's this American guy, yeah? He's coming over, he's coming about all the police was, like, interrogating and that.
To help them in their interviews, when they interview suspects.
Exactly.
You can regress to an earlier time and, and this guy...
Regress to an earlier time.
Yeah. And he'll hypnotise them.
Yeah, so I help them with that.
You're feeling sleepy and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I help them with that.
And then they'll tell the truth?
So I goes in there, yeah?
Yeah?
So I'm saying I help them with the trial.
You're helping them with the trial?
Yeah.
And so have they let you out just for a day, or...?
Yeah, I've got a day.
You what, sorry?
There's conditions and questions. Anyway, I help them with that trial, yeah?
Yeah?
So the guy's like, I just relax.
I can't make... You're saying what?
I said I'm not going to relax with you in the room.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think we're losing you, actually.
In terms of the story, I just hear the signal.
Yes, we're losing the signal. So I don't know whether it's electronic tag that's affecting it. Anthony, bless you for calling us just before Christmas.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and do enjoy your day out.
To be honest, my ankle tag is kind of stinging a bit, so it's probably that.
Stinging a bit, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, Anthony, thank you very much indeed.
Whatever, don't worry about it.
No.
Next time I'm out, I want to come see you.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that sometime.
No, I don't need to, I'll just show up.
No, we'll just talk about it first.
3 o'clock in the morning.
No, I think we'll talk about it before you show up, actually, if that's all right.
No, I don't need to, because we're friends, aren't we?
Anthony,
Are you my friend?
Anthony, thank you very much indeed.
Of course I'm your friend.
Right,
exactly, so friends don't have to phone up, they just come round.
Facebook friend. Anthony, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, bye.
All the best to you, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bless him. There he is, Anthony Farrell.
Saturday night, you're feeling bright. There's a show that's a bit of alright. It's on in parts of Nottinghamshire. It's with a bloke who's called Martin Kelner.
That's right.
Happy Christmas to you from Mansfield 103.2.
Marvellous. Very shortly we're going to Hampstead, NW3 in the capital, and we'll find out what the chattering classes are chattering about. So stay with us.
Hey Dad, what are you doing in Mansfield?
Oh, great stuff. That's the sort of stuff that Kev Roberts plays every Saturday between 8 and 10. I mean, not necessarily the Christmas stuff, but certainly Solomon Burke, very, very popular soul artist there, and that's Presents for Christmas. Now, occasionally you hear a story on the radio and you never hear how it resolves itself. And you may remember 2 or 3, I mean, if you're taking notes on all this, you'll know that 2 or 3 weeks back, I was talking about this woman up in the northeast who'd got an ASBO because she was making love in a very noisy fashion. You probably remember that up in Washington County, Durham. Well, she's breached her ban. According to the papers this week, a housewife given an ASBO for making, quotes, excessive noise during sex breached the ban within 24 hours. She admitted failing to comply with the ASBO on April the 18th, April the 22nd, 3 times on April the 26th, etc., etc. With her husband Steve, this was, but she's been put away. I mean, this sounds, I don't know what noises. Oh, I bloody love that. That's great. Oh, I love that. That's great. That. Oh, do that again. But anyway, she's been sent to a bail hostel away from her home in Washington. And she's going to have to go back to court. They're even talking about a custodial sentence, but she says it would be suspended. This is the judge said it would be suspended if she did get a custodial sentence, so she wouldn't be sort of put away there, all the other prisoners trying to sleep. And she's, oh, bloody hell, I love that, that's great. But anyway, so she breached the ASBO. I thought you'd be interested to know about that. I also see here that glitter has been banned in schools. I should think so too. But what they mean is that this is the glitter that nursery school children have been banned from using glitter to make Christmas cards and decorations. And this, of course, is our old friend Elf and safety. And on the subject of elves, it all links in so brilliantly. This Bare Naked Ladies CD they did, these are the Canadian guys, they do a thing called, I might have played it before actually, they do a thing called Elf's Lament. And this is a sort of, I suppose the elves taking a lead from BA cabin staff and deciding they've had enough, they're mad as hell and they're not going to take it anymore. It's got Michael Bublé on it as well.
Naughty or nice, but consider the price to an elf.
Excellent. Bare Naked Ladies with Michael Bublé and Elf's Lament. I like it when A.A. Grundy, our favourite columnist in the Works Up Guardian, gets a response from his pundit. He's obviously, I don't know what the original article was, but he's obviously written moaning about having to queue up at a McDonald's drive-through. And the person he was queuing up behind actually must have read the article and has written into the website. She says, the headline is, Mum's McFury with Grundy for moaning at her drive-through order. In answer to the article about the car holding everybody up in the McDonald's drive-through near Sainsbury's, that was us you were referring to. My partner works all hours he can, 7 days a week, and fancied a McDonald's after a 12-hour shift. We bought 3 Happy Meals, 1 each for the children and 1 for my mum, who also... I reckon A.A. Grundy goes in and asks if they've got a miserable meal. They want to have... Give us a miserable meal. But anyway, they all these Happy Meals, 1 each for the children, 1 for my mum, who also had a caramel sundae. So clearly it's a complex order, and they've kept A.A. Grundy waiting behind. The drinks you were on about came with the Happy Meals. I'd love to have seen the original article here. And my partner also got a drink with his meal, and the bill was under £13. So before you go writing stuff like this, you should get your facts right first. We go to McDonald's once in a while, as if it has anything to do with you. And for your information, we weren't on a school run, as we're not, I can imagine the article, as we're not from Worksop. They like to point out we're not from Worksop. It's Michelle Broom, Canterbury Walk, Carlton in Lindrick. So that's Carlton in Lindrick is your step up there. And that's, and I do like it when people have a go at A. Grundy. I wish more people did it more often. So it's Martin Kelner here, Mansfield 103.2. We'll be finding out what the chattering class is chattering about next, as we go to London and join Paul Rising.
The fabulous late Martin Kelner Show.
Cher and Walking in Memphis on Mansfield 103.2. It's Martin Kelner with you through till midnight. Right now, let's find out what the chattering classes are chattering about as we go to Hampstead NW3 in the fabulous capital of London and say a very good evening to Paul Rising. Paul, good evening to you.
Good evening to you. Good evening, Mansfield. This is London, here to lighten your darkness.
Well, bless you, bless you.
Good evening, Darkpool, Grey all over.
Yeah.
Great Grimpen Mire and all the other places.
Yeah, lovely places around here. It's beautiful. And we had a bit of snow this week. You've had snow in London as well.
There's been snow, but...
it turns to slush quite quickly up there, though, doesn't it?
It's been undramatic.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
Yeah. But you've actually immersed yourself in the world of snow and ice because you were talking last time about this vodka bar.
Yes, I've been, in the interval I should explain, at the moment I've succumbed to some sort of flu-like symptoms.
Serves you right.
Earlier I went to a bar, which I informed your viewers about last time we spoke, called Below Zero. And it's off London's Regent Street, where some of your listeners may have, gone shoplifting in the past. Opposite Harrods on the Mayfair side, if these names mean anything at all.
Yeah, the Mayfair side of Harrods. Yeah.
It's in Haddon Street, and you go down some steps, and you stand in a bar where it's -5 degrees centigrade, Celsius, as we say.
And are you surprised you've got a cold and flu-like symptoms after all this?
No, these things are caused virally. You don't pick them up by standing in cold. I'm not a scientist, but there you are.
Yeah.
And the walls are made of ice and the bar is made of ice, and they give you a thermal cape with a hood and gloves attached, and you need the gloves to hold on to the drinks, which are served in cubes of ice with holes cut in them.
The drinks are served in cubes of ice with holes cut in them?
Yes, there's a cube of ice. If you can picture this, a cube about the size of a block of butter, with a sort of cylinder board in it for where you pour the drink. And you hold this with your thermal gloves, and you sip it, and...
Does it not slip out of your hand?
No, it would do if you held it in your hand without gloves, I think.
Right.
But because you've got these thermal gloves, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And,
So are there grips on these gloves, sort of like motorcycle?
I'm not a glove expert, really. I've never been involved in the tailoring trade.
No.
Or haberdashery of any kind. So I can't really comment on the precise design of the gloves.
No. I could have done with having a specialist haberdasher on, who would have probably,
Well, I don't know where you're going to find one at this time of night, but it's worth a try. Maybe the yellow pages. You have the pages like that there?
Yeah. Do you have to book to go to this?
You do, and there's a long queue. And the thing about this place is they admit you in shifts of 40 minutes. And there's a digital clock counting down. And you can't stay longer than 40 minutes in case you sort of succumb to some frostbite or something.
So it's like the old municipal baths where, all those of you with the blue armband out now.
Well, I'm too old. I mean, too young, too.
You're too old, Paul.
Well, it's a 40-minute slot, and, everyone files in at the same time and files out at the same time, and there's another lot of people waiting to take your place, and this place must be a gold mine.
Yeah.
But it's rather sort of...
It wouldn't work in workshop, I don't think. I mean, how much does a vodka cost there? I bet it costs a fortune.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the discussion of money is so vulgar, isn't it? But, I mean, I suppose in workshop you just buy a bottle of, the cheapest vodka from Lidl and go and stand in the street.
Well, you get the same effect. It's it's cold weather.
Yes.
It's freezing cold. You stand in the street, as you say, with a bottle of vodka from Lidl, which I think is £6.99, and
£6.99.
£6.99. Yeah, £6.99. That is not £6.
Not lira.
No, and it's the same effect. So why go to and you don't need the cape. You don't need the thermal cape.
One word, my friend. One word. Ambiance.
Ambiance.
It's like ambulance, but without the L.
Right. So when you're there in this down below and there's ambience there, what is the? I mean, are there?
I'll tell you what the ambience is. It's a little futuristic. There's a sort of sepulchral, frosty light, and there's a strange.
So it's a bit like sort of Clockwork Orange or something like that.
Something like that. It's a little futuristic. You feel like you're standing in some sci-fi movie. The floor is made from steel, and because of the temperature, it sort of sticks to your shoes a little bit. And it's the most clever thing because there's nowhere to sit. Not that you'd want to sit on blocks of ice.
No.
But so you can't help.
So if you want that effect of your feet sticking to the floor, the toilets in J.D. Wetherspoon, very similar sort of effect.
I can't comment on that.
No,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, so that's what you've done. Now you've got flu symptoms.
Now I've got flu symptoms, and I've confined myself to the sofa.
Yeah.
Which is not without its rewards, because I've been reading a most fascinating book by Max Hastings about Churchill's war years.
Yeah, well, Max Hastings is heavily into war, isn't he?
Oh, he loves it. He loves a bit of war.
Yeah.
Bashing people up, he loves that.
And this is about Churchill in the Second World War?
Yes, it's called Finest Years, Churchill as Warlord.
Yeah.
It came out this year.
And is he generally in favour of Churchill?
Oh, yes. I mean, it's a magisterial portrait, really, because he is very aware of all Churchill's flaws and doesn't seek to hide them.
No.
But, he was the man for the job at the time, without question.
But permanently, absolutely slaughtered,
No, you don't get that impression. I think that side of it has always been overstated, rather.
Do you think so?
Yes, I don't think he was permanently sloshed.
No,
I think he was no stranger to champagne and the brandy bottle.
No, he liked brandy and a cigar, big fat cigar.
Yes,
a big fat cigar.
Yes, but I read a marvellous quote which I think should have been inspirational to your listeners in their time of darkness. It's by a diplomat of the time called Lord Dabernon, who I've never heard of, but it's a rather good quote. He says, "An Englishman's mind works best when it is almost too late."
Do you know, that's brilliant.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. Well, as we're finishing with inspirational quotes...
Is that it?
Yeah, well, I have a quote here from Brian Blessed.
Oh, yes. He's that man who shouts a lot.
He's the man who shouts a lot. He's currently appearing in Aladdin at the New Wimbledon... It's a lovely quote, this. He's appearing in Aladdin at the New Wimbledon Theatre in South London alongside Pamela Anderson.
Oh, yes.
Yes, who's described as the ageing sex siren 42. Her costume is half Baywatch and half Rocky Horror Picture Show. And the quote, lovely quote here from her co-star Brian Blessed. "I wouldn't touch her with yours," is his quote. Lovely quote, isn't it? Paul, bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Good night.
And yes,
to the people of Mansfield and Purviews and Purlews.
All those lovely places. Paul, thank you very much indeed. We'll talk again soon.
Goodbye.
Paul Rising from Hampstead, NW3.
It's Martin Kelner. What could be more agreeable?
One for all and all for one. Martin Kelner is still Bobbins. One for all and all for one. His future's behind him. One for all and all for one. Even so they signed him. So he's here for everyone. Lucky, lucky you. Sha-la-la, sha-la-la. He's only been put on air. Sha-la-la, sha-la-la. 'Cause his kids need new footwear. Sha-la-la, sha-la-la. The poor chap's got to cope with all his kids' demands. Sha-la-la, sha-la-la. Although this load of tosh, sha-la-la, sha-la-la, is not worth that much dosh. Sha-la-la, sha-la-la. So in fact no money has exchanged hands. One for all and all for one. Martin Kelner is still Bobbins. One for all and all for one. Dozens can't be wrong now. One for all and all for one. Join this merry throng now. Mansfield's never had such fun on 103.2.
Fantastic. That's The Cure and The Love Cats on Mansfield 103.2, the home of great music. And it's Martin Kelner with you through until midnight. So I noticed this week, which was quite interesting. You know, the dad dancing. Well, I do a bit of that myself. Mainly at wedding receptions, you know, and you embarrass your kids. And it's like a ritual. You've got to do it, haven't you? You've got to, and you bust some moves, I think is the modern parlance here. And it's always, and you think, you're doing it reasonably well. I mean, anybody over the age of 45, you do that, and it's going to embarrass your kids horribly. I read this week that dad dancing is evolution's way of saying no. It's not, it's an evolutionary thing. You're doing all these complex moves and not doing them very well. And the reason you're doing that is evolution is telling you to do that so that any young women of marriageable age you're giving them a signal that you're not available. And this is, some professors work this out. He's compared the dancing. There's a guy from the University of Hertfordshire, which doesn't sound like a proper one to me, that. But anyway, he's from the University of Hertfordshire. And he's compared the dancing styles of about 14,000 people. And he says the cringe-worthy dad dancing witnessed at wedding receptions every weekend may be an unconscious way in which ageing males repel the attention of young women. Now, speaking as an ageing male, I've never had to work too hard to do that, but apparently this is what it is. Men between 35 and their 60s typically attempt complex moves with limited coordination, okay? And what they do, middle-aged men have passed their natural reproductive age. I mean, basically what this professor from the University of Hertfordshire, cheeky scamp, what he's saying there is that we can't get up anymore. And we're proving that by dancing in this way, saying, well, there's a man who can't move, he's going to be no good in the sack, and therefore, it says, evolution is acting to ensure, according to this doctor, that they're no longer attractive to 18-year-old girls. I don't think that's a problem. I don't think we need to dance to prove that. No longer attracted to 18-year-old girls, he said. It's like an apple that's growing brown. You want a fresh green one instead. The University of Hertfordshire, what the hell's he on about? But there you are. So, I only because I was doing a bit of dad dancing there to The Love Cats by The Cure, and that was going to be, I was thinking then of playing The Flying Lizards again, but I won't, even though it's such a great, great track. Instead, we'll have another Christmas track. This is Bob Rivers once more.
Yeah, well, thanks. No, it's really very nice. Did I get this last year?
Well, there's a refrain we'll be hearing next week, no doubt. That's, didn't I get this last year? But you can take it back. Just give me the receipt, that's what I always say. That was Bob Rivers on Mansfield 103.2.
Hello, Mansfield. It's my dad on a Saturday night.
The fabulous late Martin Kelner Show.
song written by the great songwriter known all over Merseyside as Bis Bacharach. And that was Wishing and Hoping by Dusty Springfield. That's more or less it from me. When I'm back next week, it'll all be over. It'll all be over by the shouting. No doubt there'll be the usual marriage breakups and everything else that it's a traditional part of the year. Hopefully not quite as painful a breakup as the one between Robin Williams, not the Robin Williams, obviously, Robin Williams and Anthony Hull. That's Robin Williams, a woman, Anthony Hull. Their breakup has reached the High Court because they couldn't agree on who should get the cheese grater. And seriously, an argument about cheese grater and empty paint pots. You may also find over the Christmas period, you'll see religious images and icons, depending how much you've drunk. Darren Farrant got a shock of his lifetime when he noticed the face of Christ on the underside of a naan bread. He says, there it was, staring back at me, Jesus' face in the naan, said Darren, or Duran if you want, Darren, who's from Essex. He says, I once spotted Jesus' face in the crinkles of my mum's bed cover. It's really weird, I can't explain it. I think I could explain it, Darren, if you asked. And one final story for you. Footballer Levi Foster got a yellow card refs do that thing at the start of the match where they check the underside of your boots. You put your legs up like that. I'm doing it here now. You put your legs up and they check the underside of your boots. Footballer Levi Foster got a yellow card for breaking wind in the ref's face as he was having his boots checked before kick-off. That's the way to go, isn't it? That's it from me. I'll be back with you next week when it's all over, so have yourself a brilliant Christmas. And don't forget to stay tuned to Mansfield 103.2. I'll see you next week.